What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadan, and in today's video, I want to talk about an amazing lease deal on a 2025 Subaru Solterra Premium, which can be had for just $299 a month with just $299 due at signing. So what we'll do in the first part of this video is we'll head over to Subaru.com and we'll kind of study this lease deal in detail, right? So if you're in the market for this car, you'll get a lot of value from this video and from this particular section. We'll talk about the due at signing amount, we'll talk about the taxes, we'll talk about the mileage allowance, all that little nitty-gritty stuff, so that you can make the best financial decision possible. Then in the second part of this video, what we'll do is we'll run my 1.25% rule of leasing on the Subaru Solterra, and I'll show you why it's such a good lease deal in terms of value. And then in the third part of this video, what we'll do is we'll use the DriveMatch.com calculator, and I'll show you why leasing this car makes a lot more financial sense than financing this car. And I'll also show you how you can negotiate an awesome lease deal on a 2025 Subaru Solterra, leveraging a tool like the DriveMatch calculator, because the DriveMatch calculator is going to pull the residual values, the money factor. It's going to pull all of the finance rates. It's an awesome tool, and it's something that we developed in-house to help you guys save money on your car purchases. So if you want to leverage the DriveMatch calculator, it's in the description below, or it's also in the link in my bio. And I also have my new car insurance shopping tool, which is also in the description below. So you can click on that and potentially save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year on car insurance, because as you all know, car insurance is out of control. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me and talk about this Subaru Solterra lease deal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the Subaru.com website. And as you can see here, here's the lease offer on the 2025 Subaru Solterra Premium. You can lease this car for $299 a month through June 30th, 2025. And if we go down and read the fine print, you'll see that it's $299 a month on a 36-month lease. And this includes the $7,500 incentive, which is the EV tax credit or the federal tax credit. And they're just $299 due at lease signing. And I love this because a lot of the lease ads that you typically see for, Subaru, Toyota, Mercedes, whatever manufacturer, they typically require $2,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 down. Now you'll see that the MSRP, if we read the fine print, let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. If you read the fine print, you'll see that the MSRP on this car is $39,915. You'll see that the net capital cap cost is $28,234. And you'll see that the total monthly payments equal $10,764. And then at the end of the lease, you do have the option to purchase this Subaru for $19,159. Another important thing to mention here is that this lease allows for 10,000 miles a year, but you can get 12 or 15,000 miles a year if you need it. And anything that you drive over the allotted mileage, so in this case, it would be 30,000 miles in total. Anything that you drive over 30,000 miles, you're going to have to pay 15 cents a mile for those additional miles, which is not bad at all. But still, if you know you're going to drive 12 or 15,000 miles a year, it's cheaper to just get the 12 or 15 up front rather than paying this 15 cent a mile penalty. Now, if you know you're going to drive this car 17, 18,000 miles a year, what I would do is get a 15,000 mile a year lease from the get-go and then just pay the 15 cents per mile excess mileage penalty. And sometimes manufacturers actually let you call the captive bank and you can buy miles before you return your car, oftentimes even cheaper than the 15 cents per mile. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of the deal in a nutshell. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that this $299 due at lease signing does not include tax and license. So depending on where you live, you're going to have to pay an additional fee. I think, in the state of Washington, you're probably looking at about $1,000 to $1,200, at least here in the city of Seattle, where our tax rates and registration costs are extremely high. But in other parts of the country, maybe it's only $300 to $500. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So now what I want to do is run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Subaru Solterra. And keep in mind that this is just the ad on Subaru.com. This isn't a particular car at a dealer. We will jump into that later. So what we're going to do in this section of the video is we'll take the $299 that's due at signing, and we'll add, let's say, $1,000 to that amount to account for things like registration fees, dealer fees, taxes on rebates, etc. And that gives us about $1,300. Now what I'll do is divide this by 36, since it's a 36-month lease, and that breaks into 36, this due at signing amount into 36 equal parts. That gives you $36. All right, now what we're going to do is add the monthly payment of $299 $299 back in, and that gives us a zero down monthly payment of $335. And now all we're missing is sales tax, so I'll multiply this by 1.1 to account for a 10% sales tax rate. Again, that's what it is here in the city of Seattle, but it might be less. If it's 7% or 6% where you live, just multiply by 1.06. And for me, I get an effective zero down monthly payment of $368 a month. So essentially, this is going to be my monthly payment with all taxes, fees, due at signing amount rolled in. And if you multiply this number by 36, that would be the total cost of the lease over 36 months. Now what I'm going to do is divide this number by the vehicle's MSRP, which is $39,915. And I'll multiply this by 100 to make it a percentage, and that gives me 0.92%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, anytime you run this calculation and you get a number over 1.5%, that vehicle typically makes more sense to finance. Most vehicles that are over 1.5% make more sense to finance instead of lease. If you're under 1.5%, that's where the savings of leasing really start to kick in, that total out-of-pocket cost. If you're under 1.25%, that's what I call a great lease deal. And so it's even better than being under 1.5%. And then if you're under 1%, that's what I call an amazing lease deal. And this Subaru Solterra sitting at just 0.92% is an amazing lease deal in terms of value. And you'll see why leasing this car just makes a lot of financial sense. And one thing I do want to mention here really quick with leasing is, look, you want to put the least amount of money down. And this Subaru that requires just $299 down, it's just first month's payment, so I'm totally okay with that. If you can walk away with this car with $299 due at signing, plus all of your inception costs, which is the registration fees, the taxes on rebates, dealer fees, etc., you should be at about $2,000 to $3,000 total due at signing. I think that's perfectly acceptable, but don't put $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 down just to lower your monthly payment, because all you're going to be doing at that point is just prepaying your lease. There's really no financial advantage of putting more money down. Like, you might think you're having a lower monthly payment, but all you're doing is prepaying the lease, if that makes sense. Now, in this part of the video, what I want to do is I want to do two things. I want to kind of pretend like I'm shopping for this car, and I'll show you the process that I would use and how I would leverage the DriveMatch calculator. And I also want to show you why leasing this car makes a lot more financial sense than financing it. So let's just say that I'm shopping for this Subaru Solterra Premium that I found near me in Seattle, Washington at Carter Subaru in Ballard. This vehicle is not sponsored in any way. This is just the first car that came up on my Google search. So what I'm going to do is take the VIN number. I'm going to copy the VIN number and note the MSRP, which is 41212. So I'll go to the DriveMatch calculator. I'm going to enter a VIN number, submit VIN. You can see that it automatically pulled the vehicle in, and the MSRP was $41,212. So let's go ahead and pull that in, $41,212. Here's a place for the discount. We're going to leave that blank for now. I'm going to enter my zip code here, which is 98101. Hit get programs, and now what the DriveMatch calculator does, which is amazing, is it's going to pull all of the money factors, right? These are direct from the captive bank, so no more can dealerships kind of upcharge or add money to the money factor, or what's the word I'm looking for? They can't mark up the money factor. So these are the money factors coming directly from Subaru, and we're going to go with a 36-month lease. So what we're going to do is click on special lease rate, and then we're going to click on lease residuals. We're going to click on 36-month lease. Let's do 10,000 miles a year for now, and you'll see how the payment changes if you do 12 or 15,000 miles a year. And as you can see, the base money factor automatically pulled in, which is equivalent to a 2.35% APR. Now, with the money factor markup, we're going to leave that blank, because when we're shopping for this car, why should we allow them to mark up the money factor? You should aim to not allow them to mark up the money factor, and that's why this tool is so great. You get the money factor directly from the manufacturer's bank, aka the captive bank, and that way, even if the dealer is marking it up, you can decide whether you think that's a fair markup or not, right? And then what the DriveMatch calculator also does is it pulls all of the incentives that you could potentially qualify for. So these are all of the current rebates that are offered on this car. So we do qualify for the $7,500 lease credit. That's what this is. And if you want a description, you just click on this purple box. And the other rebate that I would qualify for here is the retailer lease cash type C, which is an additional $3,200. You can see this is a national rebate. I don't have any other incentives, but you can add those here. So maybe you have like a corporate discount or another kind of discount that's not listed here for any reason. You can add those additional incentives. Okay, the acquisition fee automatically pulled in, which is $595. Dealer fee, let's just go with a rough number. Let's go $500. And then for title registration fees, let's go with $750. Now, this is kind of an estimated guess based on the MSRP and based on where I live. Let's go with $750. Now, in terms of the taxes, it's going to automatically pull that in based on my zip code, 10.25%. And then as you're going to see here is you're going to have a duet signing option. So it gives you a sign and drive option, first month's payment option, where you just put the first month's payment down. You can customize the duet signing amount. So you can do like $3,000. And this includes all of your inception, so your registration fees, first month's payment, everything. This is your total out of pocket. Or you have the one pay option here as well. And then as you can see, you can automatically adjust the money factor. So anyways, we'll go with the first month's payment. And as you can see here on the upper right hand corner, the pre-tax monthly payment is $436 a month, and your final monthly payment is going to be $481 with a total duet signing amount of $481 a month. And that's because we have the first month's payment duet signing. So it's $481 duet signing and $481 monthly payment. But now what we're going to do is we're going to play around with this lease a little bit. And you should do this for every car that you shop for, regardless of whether it's a Solterra or a Toyota or whatever. We can mess around with the numbers. So let's see, since each different duration has a different money factor, you'll see that if I do a 24-month lease, the monthly payment will change. It increased to $683. So no thank you. The payment goes to $477 on a 39-month term, $472 on a 42-month term, and $590 on a 48-month term. So the 39-month term is actually the best term in terms of payment, but we'll leave it at 36 months for these purposes. You'll also see that if we adjust the mileage to 12,000 miles, the residual changed from 48 to 47%, and the payment increased to $493. And if I click on 15,000 miles, the residual drops to 45%, and the monthly payment goes to $517. So let's leave this at 12,000 miles a year. That's about that works for me. And then what we'll do now is focus on the discount, right? And this really depends. I really want you to leverage like online forums, see what kind of discounts people are getting on this car. And I think, 5 to 7%, I think conservatively is something that you can expect. So if we do a 5% discount, actually, you know what? Let's just go with the discount that Subaru they're giving here. So they're saying that the discount is $5,160 on this car. So $36,052. Let's see if they'll actually honor it. But if we go with $36,052 as a selling price, 5.2, that's a 12.5% discount. Now that might be a bit aggressive, but as you can see here, if you can manage to get a 12.52% discount, your duet signing amount is going to be $329 a month, and your final monthly payment is going to be $329 a month as well. But let's go ahead with a 7% discount. Let's go with something a little bit more conservative. So you're looking at $402 a month with $402 duet signing. Now what we'll do with the DriveMatch calculator is you can also look at what the payment is going to be if you finance this particular car. Now, if we finance this car, it's going to pull in the same assumptions that we had when we leased it. But now we have to pull in the finance programs. So we'll get the special finance rates, and you'll see that it's 0% for up to 72 months. So that's what we'll do. We'll click on special finance rate. We'll click on 72 months, and that's a 0%. And as you can see here, you don't really get the same amount of rebates. Number one, when you finance this car, you don't get the $7,500 EV tax credit. So that's not listed here. And then you have retailer cash, Type A, which is $2,500. So this is a Subaru National. I think I would qualify for this. And then as you can see here, I no longer qualify for this rebate because these two rebates cannot be stacked upon each other. And we'll use the same dealer fee, the same registration fees, the same tax rate, and then we'll use the same down payment. Let's just compare apples to apples. Let's say, assume we put $402 down because that's what we're going to put down on the lease. And if we scroll back up, it's got the same 7% discount. And now you're seeing the difference in the monthly payment. Now look at this, ladies and gentlemen. The monthly payment when you lease this car is going to be $402 a month. And if you finance this car with the same $402 down payment, your monthly payment is going to be $608 a month. And that's assuming a 0% interest rate. So if you're in the market for this car, I would highly, highly recommend that you lease this car. Not only are you going to save, $200 a month in terms of your monthly payment, which is going to save you $7,200 over the term of this lease. But also you're protected from downside depreciation. When you lease it, you know what your depreciation is going to be, because a lot of times people will finance this car and then if they go to trade it in 2 or 3 or 4 years later, they're going to have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 of negative equity, which you will be responsible for. So leasing protects you from that. With the leasing, I believe you get gap insurance, and you also get a lot of other protections as well. Like, let's say in a lease, let's say you get an fender bender. With the lease, as long as you get it properly fixed by a mechanic under insurance, you can return the car at the end of the lease. But if you were to finance it, look, that loss in value from your car being in a fender bender, whether it's $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000, you're going to be responsible for that when you finance it. And look, I always tell people, if you really want to keep the car at the end of the lease term, you have the option to buy this car. You can kind of back into it, because if you go back to lease, what you can see is that the residual value is, let me just go down, it's 47%. So this car is going to retain, 53% of its value after you drive it 36 months and 12,000 miles a year. And in this case, all we would do is take the MSRP of this car, which, let me just scroll up, is 41,200, why is it not, 41,212, and then all we do is multiply that by 47%, so 0.47. And it tells me that I can buy this car at the end of the lease term for $19,369. So if you wanted to keep this car long term, for whatever reason, you could buy this car at the end of the lease, and still have a lower monthly payment and the same money down, save a bunch of money, and still buy it for $19,300 at the end of the lease term. And ladies and gentlemen, anybody can use the DriveMatch calculator. You can use it on any car. It's about $20 a month, and you can get unlimited pulls. So whether you're cross-shopping multiple cars, multiple vehicles, you can cross-shop just about any car you want, and you can leverage this to help you save money. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it a video. Again, the link to the DriveMatch calculator is in the description below, or in the link in my bio, depending on which platform you are watching this video. But if you have any questions about car leasing, or any questions about leasing this Subaru Solterra, let me know in the comment section below and I will get back to you. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.